Welcome to Larry Under Pressure. In this video, Larry will be demonstrating a simple, delicious recipe he calls best ever perfectly roasted carrots. After you watch the video and make them yourself, you'll see why he calls them the best ever. Let's get to the kitchen and begin.
Larry here, and welcome to the video. Tonight we're making a really good recipe. I call it perfectly roasted carrots. Carrots are good, and carrots are very versatile. You can use them in lots of ways, and depending on the way you fix them, prepare them, and cook them, they can taste a lot different. So the first thing we're going to do is cut these carrots up, and I'm going to show you what I do to do that, and we're going to put them in this bowl, and then we'll season them after I do that. I'll finish cutting them up off camera so you won't have to watch that boring operation. First thing we're going to do, this is a small carrot, as you can see. In this you can use, instead of large carrots, you can use very easily mini carrots or already cut up carrots, whatever you want to use. But what we're going to do is we're going to take this carrot and we're going to cut it into slices, about 2-inch slices, and put them in the bowl. These are kind of thick on this end, so we'll go ahead and cut them in half and put them in there. And then we'll cut one of these big carrots, and what we're going to do is we're going to cut it in about 2-inch pieces, as I said a minute ago. And then we're going to cut them into smaller slices. We're going to cut it down the middle, and then we're going to cut it down the middle again to make pieces that look like that. Alright, I'm going to finish cutting these up off camera, and then I'll be back and we'll add the seasoning. Let's begin by mixing up the seasonings we're going to put on these, and it's very simple. You don't have to remember it or write it down, because I'll leave a recipe with all the ingredients and the instructions and the information below the video. So let's get started. It's real easy, real simple, and not a lot to it. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to put I have maybe 3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, and to that we're going to add 2 tablespoons of honey to the mixture. Let's get that in there, and then we'll mix that before we put the dry ingredients. There's the olive oil and the honey mixed up together. The next thing we're going to add is a ½ teaspoon of salt and a ½ teaspoon of coarse ground pepper. And with those, as you know, I have a proprietary blend that I use, and I'll list that in the purchase links at the end of the video down below. So let's put the salt and pepper in there. The next thing we're going to do is add fresh thyme. You're supposed to add fresh thyme, and you're supposed to add fresh rosemary. I don't have either, so I'm using dried thyme and dried rosemary, a ½ teaspoon of each of those to the mixture. And that's it. That's everything we need. We'll mix that up real well. Again, we have the honey, the olive oil, the salt and pepper, and the the thyme and the rosemary. What we'll do next is take that and we're going to pour it on top of our carrots that we cut up in the previous step. There are the carrots. And we're going to mix that well so they're all coated with the mixture. It seems like as little olive oil and as little honey as we used it wouldn't be enough, but it is. Now, if you wanted to make a bigger recipe, you can make these in a huge recipe and mix all kinds of carrots with them and put them on a tray in the oven and bake them that way on parchment paper, I would suggest, particularly since you have the honey in there, because it'll get real sticky as it cooks. But you can do them in the oven, you can do them in an air fryer, and you can do them in a lot of different ways. The way we're going to cook them is in the Ninja Speedi, but I'm going to just use it as an air fryer or as a baker. The Ninja Speedi has all kinds of different functions. It'll bake, it'll air fry, it'll broil, it'll just do all sorts of things. Now these are all mixed up well and perfectly covered, so they're ready to get in the Speedi. We'll go ahead and preheat the Speedi, and then I'll come back and we'll put these in. The Speedi is preheated now to 360 degrees and set on 23 minutes, and the rack is on the lowest position you can possibly get it in there. I'm going to put in one of these pre-cut pieces of parchment paper that make cleanup a whole lot easier, particularly when you have something like this that has honey in it that's going to make it sticky. I'm going to pour my carrots onto the parchment and spread them out as best I can. If possible, they should all be flat and not one on top of the other for better cooking, and it looks like I'm going to be able to do that here. Speedi's pretty big size, so you can get a lot in it. It's absolutely an amazing appliance and one of my favorites of all. If you don't have one, you should think about it, and I'll leave a link in the information below with an Amazon purchase link for you to purchase one. Okay, I've got the Speedi set on the air fry stovetop side, and I'm using the bake roast at 360 degrees for 23 minutes. If you would prefer, if you're going to use an air fryer, I do it at 350 degrees and set it for about 15 minutes and check it and see where you are at that time. If you're doing it in the oven, I do it at 400 degrees for 20 to 25 minutes, depending on how long it takes. But in any case, however you fix it, I think it's well advised to turn them or flip them over about halfway through. And that's what we'll do. So we'll come back in about 10 to 15 minutes, take a look at these, and flip them over. They've been cooking now for about 10 minutes. Let's look in on them and see how they look. They're looking real good. Let's turn them over and move them around a little bit. They smell good, they look good, and they're beginning to soften up a little bit. Some of them are even kind of getting some brown places on them. Okay, let's start them back up, and we'll check them again in about another 5 minutes. It's been 5 more minutes, so altogether it's been a little over 15 minutes. Let's see where we stand with these. They're beginning to brown up on the edges, and they feel kind of soft. They're shrinking down, and water is leaching out of them because they're all laying in liquid now, and that's a good thing. So they've got about 5 more minutes to go, and I think that's going to be about perfect. When you cook these yourself, test them along the way and see how done they are. And if you want them more done, you can certainly leave them in longer. If they're overcooking and turning brown, you could reduce the temperature and continue cooking them for a longer time. Also, I didn't mention before when I was prepping these and getting them ready to cook, I didn't peel them. Unless the outside of the carrots are really bad, I don't peel them. I like the earthy, good taste of the peeling. A lot more vitamins are in those peelings, so I just leave them on there. And I think they taste better. But you suit yourself. I just wanted to mention that's the way I've done it. We'll be back in about 4.5 minutes and these should be done. That was the ending beep. They've gone the full 23 minutes now. Look at those. Aren't they pretty? They really do look good. Let's roll them around in the sauce a little bit with all those delicious, wonderful herbs and oils. And then we're going to take them out and plate them up and we'll give them a taste. Let's get them out of there and get them in a dish so we can take a look at them and give them a taste. I can tell by feeling them they're soft. They're almost as soft as what you'd expect a sweet potato to be when you do it in a sweet potato casserole. And that's exactly what I would hope they'd be like. Again, you can fix them as warm, as hard or as soft as you want them, depending on how long you cook them and the temperature you cook. And you may have to fine-tune it a little bit, but these look pretty darn good to me. So I think the leadership I've given you is real good. Okay, let's leave those there. Let's let that cool for just a minute and we'll come back and give them a taste. There they are. I've added a little bit of dried parsley because I don't have any fresh this time of year on top as a garnish to make them look better. And let's taste them and see how they taste. That looks like a good piece right there. They're cooked perfectly. The doneness could not be any better. They're just delicious. If anything, they probably need a little bit more salt than what I have on them, but that's an easy thing to add. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Hope you'll try these and they'll become one of your favorites. If you have any questions or comments about them, leave them in the remarks below and I'll try to address all of them. I try to respond to all the comments and remarks that I get that are reasonable. Sometimes they're a little unreasonable. If you like what you see, please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. If you have, you know we love you and we're always glad to have you back. If you would also share this video and like the video, that helps the channel tremendously with YouTube to get the videos out to more and more people who might be interested. Thank you again for joining us for this video, and we'll see you on the next video. Take care.
This video has been a production of Larry Under Pressure. We appreciate that you visited us for this presentation. If you are a subscriber, you know we are always glad to have you join in. If not, please consider clicking on the red box at the bottom right corner of your screen and subscribe. It's very helpful to the channel and costs you nothing. Below, Larry has left a recipe for you as well as Amazon purchase links for items commonly used on our channel. Until next time, this is Andrew wishing you happy cooking.